Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be able to say to you, welcome to Cabal Vision HD, the new official Blood Bowl TV.
Hi everyone, I'm the Sage and welcome to a quick guide to Goblins. As one of the three stunty teams, Goblins are bad. They're meant to be. However, they're also pretty hilarious and potentially very lethal. Goblins have access to 6 different positionals. However, 3 of those are secret weapons, so they'll get sent off after one drive. These are the Bombardier, the Fanatic, and the Looney. They also have a Pogo-Er, who's basically your ball carrier. You can have 2 trolls, and there's the Goblin Lineman. Probably the most feared positional on the Goblin team is the Looney. He is your chainsaw secret weapon. Same stat line as a Goblin, 6237. He has stunty but no dodge. Secret weapon means he'll get sent off at the end of a drive, so that kinda sucks. However, you get to run around the pitch with a chainsaw. This is really cool. So, in order to use it, you need to succeed on a 2+ roll, but unlike star players, you don't have the loner, so that's a bit less scary. If you succeed, you get to take your chainsaw and shove it up to your opponent, and you get a +3 on the armor roll, and you get to bypass any block or dodge or whatever, so that's really cool. However, if you fail, you're stuck next to him, and if he punches you, the chainsaw gives him a +3 on the armor roll against you as well, so that's scary. You also get it if you foul with him, so that's kind of cool. The Fanatic is a really cool player. He's got movement 3, strength 7, agility 3, and armor 7. He's got secret weapons so he'll get sent off. He doesn't have hands, but he doesn't need them. And he's got ball and chain. Now that is really the core thing here. Ball and chain lets you pick a direction you want to go in, but you actually have a chance of going into one of 3 directions around there, so you don't really control his movement. But the cool thing is, you only use your move action with him, and every square he moves and he runs into someone, he'll get a block action against that person. With strength 7, that's quite often a 3-die block. Also, if someone is prone or stunned in that square, you get to roll armor against them. Really cool. However, if someone knocks you down or wrestles you down or whatever, he's immediately at least KO'd. So a single hit will send him off. But with strength 7, that's often quite tough to do. These guys are formidable. Until they're not. The Bombardier is the most defensive oriented of your 3 secret weapons. He has the same stat line, 6237, dodge and stunty. And of course he's also a secret weapon. And he's got Bombardier. What this does is, instead of throwing a ball, he can choose to throw a bomb. He's not allowed to move first, but he will throw this bomb. And it acts like a ball, which means people can catch it or intercept it. But the moment it stops moving, usually because you throw it at someone's feet, it'll explode. If someone's in that square, it's automatically hit. All the squares around it are like a fireball, so a 4+ to hit. And they roll armor, and they can break, and they can disrupt cages. That sounds really cool, right? It does, except that throwing a bomb is like throwing a ball. Which means with agility 3, it's already a 3+ to throw a quick pass. Except if you got stunty, because then it's a 4+. So they're just not very good at it. The Pogo-Er is the closest thing to a ball carrier the Goblins have. He's got movement 7, strength 2, agility 3, and armor 7, so 1 more movement than a regular Goblin. He has dodge and stunty, which means he's just as mobile, and he also gets leap and very long legs. However, he doesn't have right stuff, which means you can't throw him, and that might cost you on occasion. Leap and very long legs are not that great because it's still a 3+ and you don't have a reroll, and they only have access to agility, which means they're still not that great. The trolls are ironically one of the more stable things in your team. You can have 2 of them, and they're the same as on the orc team, so 4, 5, 1, 9, with always hungry, loner, mighty blow, really stupid, regeneration, and throw teammate. Note that, unlike the halfling treeman, these guys keep their loner, which makes them rather rubbish. And of course they only have strength access, so lack of block plus loner means you will turn over with them quite frequently. On the Goblin team, your lineman is the Goblin, movement 6, strength 2, agility 3, armor 7, right stuff, dodge, and stunty. These guys only have agility access, so you can't make too much out of them, but you'll have to make do because quite often, these and the trolls is all you'll have left after a while. There's quite a couple of choices to make when building your Goblin team. You'll definitely want both trolls. You'll want the looney, so the chainsaw, and the Fanatic. But other than that, things get kind of optional. You don't necessarily want a Pogo-Er or a Bombardier. although you could choose to have one. You do want lots and lots of goblins, because these guys are your bench and you'll need it for sure, because when people punch your goblins out, you might be forced to field your secret weapons for only a single turn, which is really costly. Going with 2 rerolls in this build leaves you 150k in treasury, which is actually kinda cool. This way you're sure to have 3 bribes for your first game, which is a huge asset. Of course, since the Bombardier costs the same as a regular goblin, you could choose to replace one with a bomber. However, this leaves you with 1 player fewer as bench and 1 more secret weapon, who's also quite unreliable and likely to eat up your team rerolls, which you have only 2 of. Nothing's stopping you from taking more though. If you choose to have a Pogo-Er, he costs about the same as 2 goblins, so that's quite costly, but of course he does give you some extra mobility. Going up to 3 rerolls from this build, for instance, would leave you with 900k team value, enough to get 2 bribes, but you only have 13 players, so you might want to opt for a 14th still. I definitely keep the last 2 slots open, because those are for your star players and they are pretty awesome. Inducements are really great for goblins, and this is a main reason why. You see this bribe here? You all know it. Well, for goblins, they only cost 50k instead of 100k. That's a big deal, especially when you've got lots and lots of secret weapons, potentially 5 of them. Star player wise, we have Ripper, a troll with plus strength and no nega traits. He has grab and of course throw teammate. He's actually a lot better at throwing because he has neither always hungry nor very stupid. 270k is decent. We have Morg, the sorely overpriced ogre. You're never going to get him. Scrap a Scorehead is a Pogo-Er 7237, but he also has sprint and sure feet, so he's actually pretty fast. And unlike your normal Pogo-Er, he has right stuff, which means you can throw him. But with Loner, the 4+ landing is going to hurt. He also has Dirty Player, but for 150k, Dirty Player is kind of a waste. Next up, Bomber Dribblesnot. Bomber Dribblesnot is like a Goblin Bombardier, except he has Accurate, which means that he throws on a 3+ for a quick pass instead of a 4+. That's pretty cool. If you don't use a reroll on him, he's way better at it. But even if you try and use your reroll to Loner, he's still more likely to succeed than a regular Bombardier. Fungus the Loon 4737 Mighty Blow means this is actually a Fanatic with Mighty Blow and plus movement. That is really good. For only 80k, definitely worth it. Noble Blackwort is a Chainsaw star player with block and dodge, so he's not likely to go down to your opponent's blocks. However, Chainsaw and Loner means he's quite capable of sawing off his own head. It may seem tempting to get a free bribe from your stadium, but that gives your opponent a 100k inducement and yourself a 50k one. You're way better off with Nuffle's Altar. It is awesome for goblins. 50k off of each star player means you get an accurate Bombardier for 10k, a Mighty Blow movement Fanatic for 30k, or a Blodge Chainsaw for 80k. Cool stuff. Of your 3 secret weapons, the only one likely to gain or benefit much from star player points is the Fanatic. Now, that's because he actually makes blocks. The Fanatic has only access to strength skills, and the 2 most important ones you'll want are Mighty Blow for damage, and Grab. The reason Grab is so good on it is because it allows you to line up your opponents in such a way that you're more likely to punch one when you go into one of 3 random directions. After that, options get really limited. Piling On will make you go pro. You don't throw blocks, so multiple block does nothing. Stand Firm, you rarely get blocked. Strong Arm, you don't even have arms. Break Tackle, you don't dodge. Juggernaut, you don't blitz. And Thick Skull, if you go prone, you're already gone. So really, Guard is your only remaining option. But that's okay, because they don't typically live that long anyway. But after this, if you roll more, you definitely want doubles. Stats for the Fanatic are a bit weird. I'd probably skip Strength for block, and Agility does literally nothing for you. But movement is awesome, because a movement increase gives you an extra block per turn. Your Looney, the Chainsaw player, doesn't get star player points that much. He's not even able to block. He uses his Chainsaw, which doesn't give star player points. And with Secret Weapon, he's not on the pitch for very long either. If you skill him, you only have access to Agility on normal rolls, and the one skill you really want is Dodge. This just makes him much less likely to get broken. After that, you don't really have decent options on Agility rolls. Sidestep might get you an extra punch here once in a while. Jump Up is way too optimistic, because when you go down, chances are you're never going to get back up. So while Sidestep might look okay, I'd probably just get rid of it by then and get a new one, because a rookie Chainsaw is only 40k, and the Dodge Sidestep one is 80k, and he's just not worth his team value. If you're lucky enough to get doubles, block might be really appealing, because with block and dodge he's not likely to go down. But Dirty Player is a very, very real option as well, especially if you get it before you have dodge. Because Chainsaw allows you to get +3 on the armor roll, and then Dirty Player will get you the +1 on the injury when you foul. Pretty awesome, right? The Bombardier doesn't really benefit from skills that much. He already has dodge to not get punched down. And with agility access, what are you really gonna get? He should be by himself somewhere and he's gonna throw bombs. And he shouldn't be doing much at all. If jump up would allow you to get up and throw a bomb, that would be really cool, but it doesn't. And so any single agility roll that you might give is really not going to help him much. Catch could theoretically help if the bomb gets thrown back at him, but really, you're probably not going to do much with it at all. So, if your Goblin Bombardier rolls normals, I'd just fire him straight away and replace him with a rookie. You're better off. Also, this gives you more chance at actually rolling in doubles, which is really good for these guys. If they would have passing access, it would be really cool to give him pass and accurate, and actually make him good at throwing the bomb. However, since they don't, I wouldn't recommend going that route, because you need the second doubles to get reliable. Instead, if you have a single doubles on him, I'd get Hail Mary Pass and not look back. Hail Mary Pass allows you to sit in the backfield and throw an inaccurate bomb on a 2+, anywhere on the pitch. That means you go from being a really, really bad rifleman to a really, really good artillery. Pretty cool, right? If you're lucky enough to get a second doubles on your Bombardier, I'd give it pass. This allows you to reroll the 2+ with a skill reroll, and of course, should someone get close to you, you might actually use it to chuck a bomb directly at him, potentially accurately instead of with Hail Mary Pass. Skilling your trolls, there's a couple of really good options to take. You're limited to strength skills normally, and guard is awesome. Break tackle is also really useful because these guys are your strength, and you want to be able to get them where you need them. Stand firm is good, and grab is also kind of okay. However, really you'd hope for doubles on these guys, of course. If you get it, you'll want block, and after that, probably pro, because these guys still have loner. If you'd like to make your troll better at throwing, you might want to pick up break tackle to get out of the tackle zones that would affect the pass, and after that consider strong arm, because strong arm turns your 3+ inaccurate short pass to a 2+ inaccurate short pass. That's quite a considerable improvement. Skilling up your regular old goblins, your options are going to be sorely limited because you only have agility access. Sidestep is really the staple skill here, and once you've got that, you might want to consider diving tackle. Note that if you have sidestep and diving tackle, your goblin already costs 80k, whereas a rookie only costs 40k, so you might already be worth firing to lower your team value, to either face poorer teams or to get more inducements, both of which benefit you. If you have doubles as your first skill, Dirty Player would be the go-to option for me, because that gives you a 70k fouler. Later doubles, for instance after you've already got sidestep, might very well be block or even sure hands, but I'd probably be more tempted to just stick with block. The most crucial stat increase you can roll on a goblin is agility, because agility helps you pick up, it helps you catch, and it also helps you land. It's actually the only thing that can improve your chance of landing successfully. It turns a 4+ into a 3+ landing, which is quite a big deal. You might consider catch, or sidestep, or sure feet, and you'll probably want catch, sure feet, and sprint before he's done, because these all help you score with him after being thrown, or even getting the ball to him before he gets thrown. Your Pogo-Er also doesn't have great skill options on normal rolls. Since you only have access to agility skills, sidestep will probably be your first pick, and given that this is your fastest player, sure feet and sprint are decent options as well. After that though, you've really got everything you need from the agility group, and doubles are the only thing worth skilling. For doubles, block and sure hands are certainly the two best options you're going to get. Stat increases on the Pogo-Er are quite worthwhile. Agility is awesome, movement is pretty good, and strength is okay. Goblins are kind of all out. You want to deal a lot of damage fast with your weapons, and ideally stall. This means winning the coin toss is crucial. If you win the coin toss, you get to determine, I'm going to field my Saw, I'm going to field my Fanatic, I'm going to score in turn 8, and I'm going to wreak havoc on my opponent. If you lose the toss, you're probably just going to want to field your Bombardier because he's defensive, and maybe the Chainsaw. But beware, if your opponent chooses to score early, they're going to get sent off. If you don't have the bribes, or if they fail, that really sucks. If they remove enough of your players and stall until turn 8, then you might very well wind up in a situation where you're forced to field your weapons for only a single turn, costing you either bribes or the weapons themselves. That really sucks. So managing attrition is a big deal. If you get to go on offense, I would recommend fielding both the Fanatic and the Looney. If you go on defense, I would just field the Bombardier, if you have one. Scoring with throw teammate is quite an asset for a team that doesn't really have much of a strong plan A, but I'd still keep it as a backup option, rather than as your main option, unless you need to one-turn touchdown, of course. Before you try and dodge your chainsaw into a cage to saw a ball carrier, you might want to check out the following. Stunty doesn't actually have a benefit if you have secret weapon. It still has the downside, so the -1 to passing and more likely to get injured, but the benefit of ignoring tackle zones when dodging doesn't actually apply if you have secret weapon. Don't learn this the hard way, folks. Do your best to keep both your Fanatic and your chainsaw safe. They're actually super vulnerable. If your opponent gets a 1-die and gets a both down, your Fanatic is guaranteed to be off the pitch, whereas your chainsaw with the +3 on armor is also quite likely to remove in a single punch. Getting them safe is a big part of your gameplay. For the chainsaw, that often means moving in a correct corner and guarding it afterwards, and for the Fanatic, it usually means moving him first, seeing where he winds up since you don't control this, and then try to get that area as safe as possible, so that at best your opponent can get a half-die block against him. For the Bombardier, note that the opponent can both intercept and catch the bomb that you're throwing, unless you're using Hail Mary Pass, in which case they can only catch it. This means it might be worth to actually throw it in a square next to them at their feet, or ideally a square that's kind of surrounded by players but doesn't have one in there. Exceptions include when opponent players have no hands. If you throw a bomb onto a Fanatic, for example, he's automatically off the pitch, or if the opponent is prone because then they can't catch it and you also automatically hit them when you target that square. Of course, explaining gameplay is harder than actually showing it, so check out these videos to see how to play as goblins. Thanks for watching and good luck with your own goblin team. Note that they'll never be really competitive, but I hope this guide helps you play them well all the same. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of my Bloodbowl 2 content, then do subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Later, folks.